I'm on my lunch right now. Let me show you what I have. My infamous bagel sandwiches, 2 to be exact. And we have 3 Lara bars, peanut butter jelly flavor. Delicious. So there were some things that I wanted to talk about. Just some things that have been running through my head in the recent past that I haven't really touched on before or prior. I put it all on a sticky note, so it should be pretty simple. So, first thing on my list of things to reflect on, my sensitivity to external energies and external, maybe just people being in my bubble, really, in my bubble of peace and happiness and clarity, and me, I guess, picking up on their, for lack of a better term, negative energy. And I know at a deeper level, it's not their fault, and it's really just up to me for being open to that and susceptible to it. But I just wanted to talk about it because it's just something that I've noticed. So this weekend, I had the privilege of being home alone in the house that I stay with my family because they went out. And I guess I didn't really notice how peaceful it was until it was taken away. Like the moment that they got back and we made an interaction, these rose-tinted glasses on life were just stripped away, and I was just left with this feeling of, I guess, heaviness. I don't know if groundedness is the right word, but it's definitely like a sense of reality, if that makes sense. Like the magic, the lightness in my view of the world and my surroundings was just taken away. And then I was just left with this feeling of heaviness, and internally what I think is going on is their presence kind of reminds me of my old patterns and beliefs and my old ways of being, and it kind of brings me back into those old habits. So it's not their fault at all for them being them. It's all just me not being able to handle it. Oopsies. So what I do want to work on more, something I need to put more attention to, is just setting energetic boundaries, because I forgot how nice it is to be in my own energy and to be in that space of like peace, and things aren't so serious, and yeah, it's so much easier to feel okay and safe. I forgot what safety in my own presence felt like because it's just been a long time. There's a lot of different ways that I can approach this. Let's start eating. We're gonna do a taste test. Oh, my scrumptious bagel sandwiches. That is really good. And so the way that I can set these energetic boundaries, I was trying to like look into it, but I guess I'm supposed to, before I enter into a space or I anticipate someone entering my space, I set the intention basically that the piece, my piece is my piece, their energy is theirs, and again, I'm not supposed to be holding myself responsible for that. It's just, I don't know, like, I feel like I get affected emotionally. So yeah, I'm just going to be working on that. Sorry, let me finish chewing. I'm just going to be working on that moving forward, setting those boundaries, anticipating. I just didn't even realize that, like, I was feeling so good. And I mean, I guess I'm thankful that I'm aware of my own emotions and stuff. And I'm glad that I know what's going on, so that's good. Which brings us into our next topic. Let me give you some context. So I've been listening to more Abraham Hicks recently, and it's been reminding me of everything that I learned and reminding me of my, oh my goodness, my manifesting and high vibration phase, where that was like at the forefront of my mind for a little bit. And listening back to their talks, these things that I learned are just being more reinforced, and I'm just being reminded of all the things that I learned. And so one of the things, contrast. It's really just like a perspective shift. Regarding what I brought up first with other people's energies, this is semi-related. If there are other people that do bother me, it doesn't really do any good to look at them in, I guess, a bad light. And so a little exercise that they talked about was reimagining the person in a better mood, in a better light, like imagining them, I don't know, just being more kind, being more high energy or whatever, and not everything's, I don't know, I don't want to sound like that type of person. That led me on to think that, yeah, I mean, I can do that. I can also look at a bigger picture perspective, and that caused me to remember that technically everyone has good intentions. No, that's not right. I meant to say everyone wants to feel good. And so they do things maybe out of habit, but with the underlying intention to feel good. And when you kind of view everyone's actions, everything that everyone does that bothers you, when you look at those people's actions from that kind of perspective, it makes it less personal and more just like easy to digest, really. So say, for example, you get cut off and you apply this, oh, they just want to feel better aspect to the situation. This really takes some like distance from ego, because in that situation, I know you really do want to take it personally, but I know from a deeper level, like if anyone acts crazy or acts in any sort of negative manner, it's really just a reflection of how they feel about themselves, whether they realize that or not. Because if something happened that bothered them, their reaction to it really spills the beans about them in that current moment. But let's get back on track. So one of the things that I was being reminded of is the idea of contrast. And seeing contrast in this way really makes everything so much easier because it gives me this understanding of why things are the way that they are. And it helps me approach everything with less anxiety, if that makes sense. So basically, your present moment, whether it be something less than ideal or something that you want, it all inevitably leads you to have a better understanding of what it is that you want. So whatever happens in your day-to-day experience, whatever happens in your present moment, it helps you determine better what you prefer. And so that kind of reframes it for me in the way that, like, if something bad happens, I don't know if I want to think of an example, but if something bad happens, I can use that to better shape the ideal version of my life. Does that make sense? I feel like that takes it obviously takes some sort of distance from your emotions, but you also have to be careful. I have to be careful in particular because this is not an excuse to overlook any negative emotions that you feel. Obviously, feel the emotion first, recognize it, acknowledge it, give it the light of day, the time of day. But just recognize that it's not like a part of who you want to be, and just use it as an indicator, basically, of the direction that you want to head in. And that's really one of the core philosophies of Abraham Hicks, using emotions as an indicator for where you should go at any given time. Another thing that revived after listening to them more was me monitoring my thoughts. And just recognizing, like, whether or not in the moment a thought that comes up into my head serves me or not. And I know if it serves me by the first point, if it makes me feel good or if it doesn't, or just depending on how it makes me feel. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I've been monitoring my thoughts a little bit more easier. And I want to move forward with the intention of choosing thoughts that only align with the ideal version of myself, which we're constantly forming in the present moment. And yeah, last night when I was getting ready for bed and I was doing my nighttime routine, which very loosely used, I went to sleep kind of late, but I was thinking about how there are infinite versions of me, and in order to attract the life that I want, all I have to do is embody the specific version of me that has that. And I mean, I haven't really come to a conclusion about that yet. I'm really just playing with the idea in my head as we speak. But it is kind of nice to think that, like, okay, there is a version of me out there that has a more fulfilling life, that wakes up on time, that is on top of all of his priorities, that is on top of his finances, that knows how to make more money. These are just examples. And all I have to do is embody that and imagine my life as if I were one of those versions of myself. And we meet another paradox yet again. How am I going to embody this ideal version of myself and still acknowledge where I currently stay? I feel like this kind of weaves back into the contrast aspect. Like, bring yourself in the present moment, recognize where you are. And I think when you're trying to embody this ideal version of myself, one, you can take on the actions and sort of vibe that version of you has. And two, you can use that as a compass too in your direction. So acknowledge where you are right now. Oh, okay, I only have $7 in my bank account. Okay, we're not going to deny that. That's not true, by the way. There was a point in time where I had a lot less than that. But acknowledge that and don't really deny your present moment. But just remind yourself that you are on the way to where you want to be. And that's very vague. So we're going to move on. So yeah, this is just more food for thought. Whatever has been running through my head recently. So this is just a little peek into my little noggin, if you will. And it's kind of an invitation to, I guess, strive to be more present and recognize that with a perspective, oh my God, where am I going with this? Recognize that with a tiny perspective tweak on your end, the present moment, which is always changing, which is always happening now, can be used to your advantage. And that is what you're experiencing right now, emotionally, physically, mentally, what you want. If it's not, then think about what is. And while you ponder what is what you want, something that, a thought that's beginning to form in my head right now is, again, from the present moment, try to pick out a thread that's hanging that indicates some sort of presence of that future version of yourself. What do I mean by that? Say, for example, you want the feeling of abundance. This is a really easy example. Find any sort of loose thread in your present reality where there is abundance in the air, in the amount of cars that are surrounding me, in the amount of water that we have, electricity, sunlight, anything like that, and kind of pull that thread until you have a big mass of, like, you know what, like, I am pretty abundant already. And I think that's a good starting point. Yeah, that's really it. I'm gonna finish eating my lunch. I'm gonna go on to my second bagel sandwich. But yeah, if you made it this far, I hope you enjoy the rest of your beautiful day, the rest of your peaceful night. Ew, that's so cringe. Why am I saying this? And if you have any other ideas of what we can be doing to bettering ourselves or whatever, let me know. But I will see you next time. Next time I have a little hint of intelligence in my little brain. I feel like I should do like me getting out of the car. But I'm not going to get out of my car. I'm going to finish my lunch, so